Okay, we spent the whole first hour. Hope all of you are having a good time, not surprisingly, breaking down what happened in the AFC and the NFC championship game. And I want to, as we kind of circle back around here and think about the larger context of both of these games, tell me that the coach who coached most aggressively didn't win both of these games. And what I mean by that is we know that these coaches and everybody who is affiliated with the teams, by the time you're getting to the AFC and the NFC championship game, particularly in this COVID year, more so than any other, and we probably should give the NFL a tremendous credit for being able to not only play their season, but to play all 32 teams, all 16 games, and now to have 2 weeks to get ready for the Super Bowl. And if you thought that guys were being careful before, I can't even imagine how careful guys are going to be now to try to hope that COVID doesn't knock them out of the Super Bowl, given how hard you work to be able to play in the Super Bowl. But the coaching for both the Packers and for the Bills. Now, look, I think the Packers have a better team than the Bucs do. So I think it stings more for Packer fans this morning waking up that Matt LaFleur and the Packers fell apart at the end of the first half and late in the game in terms of the choices that they made as a coaching staff than it does for the Bills. Because I think even if the Bills had played a perfect game, the Chiefs are just better than they are, right? The Chiefs are, I believe, what I agree with a lot of you, and this was my pick before the season started. I thought the Chiefs, adding Clyde Edwards-Helaire, were going to be better this year than they were last year. They've won 25 of their last 26 games with Patrick Mahomes starting at quarterback. They are playing at a level we've rarely seen anyone play at in the history of the NFL. So, look, that is all well and good. So, I don't think the Bills had a very good chance to win this game regardless, but you're certainly not going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs kicking field goals as often as the Bills did, particularly not kicking field goals inside of the inside of goal-to-go situations, which they did a couple of times as well. Having said that, I was frustrated by Sean McDermott's play calling because I didn't think it was as aggressive as it should have been. He's also still got a young quarterback. I thought Josh Allen showed his youth and frustration when he got tackled and he threw the football at the guy tackling him and all that stuff. There's no doubt that that was an incredibly frustrating moment for Josh Allen. But the decision-making of Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers, I can't get past it because you were, I really do believe this, the better team. I think if the Packers and the Bucs played 100 times, let's say, I think that the Packers probably win 60 of those games, maybe even 65. I think the Packers are substantially better than the Bucs. Doesn't mean the Bucs aren't a good football team. They are. But I think if they played 100 times, I think the Packers win 65 times. I think if the Bills played against the Chiefs 100 times, I think they might win 15, maybe 20. They're substantially the Bills are substantially worse than the Chiefs, right? So I think all of that factors in a big way here. But the end of the half defense for the Packers was inexcusably bad. And in that scenario, when Tony Dungy is calling out your defenses, we'll ask Coach Jeff Fisher about this in a little bit. We'll ask Sean Merriman about this. How do you let that happen? How do you let someone just run past you and score a touchdown to end the half? It is incomprehensibly bad. And I know there's a lot of focal point on everything that had to happen in that game late, and we're going to get to that here momentarily. But to me, if I am a Green Bay Packer fan, if I am Matt LaFleur waking up this morning and you told me, hey, you can change one play from that game, I think the play that the Packers would want to change is the touchdown that they gave up at the end of the first half, because it just shouldn't have happened. It just should. It required such a series of errors that it should have never been able to happen for any football team in America. Like, if you had that happen to your high school team, you would be mad at your high school defensive coordinator and your high school defensive backs. If you're a college football fan and that happened, you would be furious at the defense that your team was in that situation as well. It reminded me a little bit, sorry Georgia Bulldog fans, of the touchdown that Tua threw to win the national championship to Devontae Smith, who at the time was, I believe, a true freshman wide receiver. Georgia was in a bad defense, and Devontae Smith just ran right by the corner, caught the touchdown for the win. And if I'm not mistaken, that was like a second or third and 26, because Tua had just taken a really bad sack. I was standing on the sideline watching that game down in, I believe the game was in Atlanta. I think the national title game was in Atlanta, if I'm not mistaken. Georgia Bulldog fans going crazy trying to win their first national title since 1980. And boom, Tua made himself a legend. Devontae Smith, we knew he was probably pretty good if he was making that play as a true freshman. Then he goes on to win the Heisman Trophy, rides off into the sunset with a phenomenal performance against the Ohio State Buckeyes. But when you look at that situation, to me, that's the play where coaching failed. All systems failure for the Green Bay Packers there. And by the way, I didn't like the play calling when they got the ball back to end the first half before the Aaron Rodgers interception. It felt to me like the Packers were trying to get that game into halftime. They weren't using their timeouts. They weren't making, it didn't seem to me, very aggressive plays to try to go get points when you've got Aaron Rodgers like you should have been. But then the decision, late in the fourth quarter, 4th and 8, down 8, you decide to kick the field goal and give Tom Brady the football back, and you never give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. I don't care what the analytics say. In that particular scenario, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. 4th down and 8 to go for potentially the tie. You got to get the 2-point conversion, granted. But you have an opportunity there. If you fail, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take back over the ball at the 8-yard line inside of their own 10. You still have the 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts. And you probably could get a stop there and get the ball back and be in decent field position. Instead, you kick the field goal, and you know that you're going to have to get a stop on Tom Brady, something that I don't think anyone out there expected to happen. I bet if you looked at him and the way he looked on the sideline, something that Aaron Rodgers 100% did not expect to happen either. And so that is brutal. I don't know how you can make that decision as a coach. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, it drove me absolutely insane.